Hello everyone, thanks for joining us today. My name is Carmen and I will be your host. We have 4 guest speakers today sharing with you 4 different projects that have unleashed the power of service management in our organisation. As far as housekeeping goes, please drop any questions you have into the chat and we will look to take 2 questions after each speaker, time permitting some more Q&A at the end as well. Before we start, I just need to explain a little bit about Fusion 5's structure because it is relevant to how these projects came about. Our vertical and horizontal structure has evolved over 20 years into one matrix, and the goal of this matrix structure is to ensure that no matter which business platforms you deploy with Fusion 5, we're able to provide a consistent coverage experience, helping you implement and maintain them. The horizontal functions provide a robust framework that ensures transparency and compliance so you can focus on your core business while we deliver the successful bodies of work for you that meet your desired outcomes. We call this coverage whole of business and is something we're very proud of. For example, I belong to the ESM pillar, the far right circle, and we are one of 5 vertical pillars in our organisation. And our speakers today are service owners from several of the horizontal business functions. Their projects improve the work lives for many teams within those business functions. And the reason for sharing this diagram with you today is to highlight how strategic your service management platform can be in your organisation and how relevant it is to your business transformation, innovation and integration strategies. So here's the agenda for today. I'd like to set the scene and context for today's session, and we will then invite each speaker to share with you the highlights from their projects. And the last presenter will summarise as we close with the key takeaways for your consideration. We're not going to mention product names because that is not really the point of today. We work with 3 great partners in this space, and it is our job in our service management pillar to marry your individual needs to the right technology and software vendor. As you're about to see, service management platforms have many best practices built in, meaning you do not have to custom build these processes from scratch. Such platforms are very powerful because they address 2 problems at the same time. At an organisational level, processes, efficiencies and risk management problems, and at an employee level, productivity, satisfaction, retention problems, also known as digital employee experience. One of the key takeaways from today is that the profile of service management platforms needs to be elevated at an organisational level because it is there that it can improve the work lives of many departments in your organisation, especially when the going gets tough. Without further ado, I would like to hand over to Jay Croft to tell you about our project in Fusion. Over to you, Jay. I have given you the control.
Awesome, thanks, you guys. I just want to check if this is moving Cool. So my name's Jay. I've been with Fusion 5 for around about 10 years now. I've done a variety of roles from consulting to being a software tester, service delivery management, and now I'm looking after our sort of internal projects and our product over for our ESM tool. So yeah, I'm just going to talk to you briefly today about a product like our ESM portal implementation project where we wanted to do a bit of an upgrade. So we originally implemented our ESM portal in 2013. Before that, we had a little custom portal that we built ourselves. It wasn't up to scratch. 2013, we implemented a new piece of software. It was great. It did everything we needed. But by 2019, it was kind of looking a little bit clunky and we wanted a bit more functionality out of it. So what I'll do is I'll run you through a few of the key points. Actually, I don't think I have control. Yeah, is that you? Yeah, cool. So yeah, so some of the key things we wanted to get out of our internal projects were things like reimagining our customer experience. So I guess how the customer interacted with us. We wanted a more modern user interface, so we wanted to spruce things up a bit, have things look a bit nicer and cooler. We implemented Okta integration. So Okta is a third-party tool that we use to do our, I guess, our external contacts or our customer multi-factor authentication and how they access our system for, I guess, our own security and to make things easier for them. It allowed us, using Okta allowed us to offer, I guess, multiple types of MFA, so not just text messages or emails, We could use Google or Microsoft Authenticator. And I guess the key thing for us was that allowed flexibility for the customers that we work with. You know, if they're a shop that uses Microsoft Authenticator for everything else, we wanted to be able to say to them, hey, we can do that as well. So, you know, link up your Microsoft Auth with our SM portal. Internally, we implemented single sign-on. So no one in the business had to remember their username and password anymore. It linked back to our Microsoft 365. We streamlined customer onboarding. So I guess what happens now is that we onboard a new customer who we're consulting for. We get a service request that's logged in our system. That service request goes and creates a whole heap of tasks on its own. Those tasks are assigned to the right people. So assign some to finance, some will go to ICT, some will go to HR. And in the system, yeah, those areas have their own tasks automatically generated. We don't have to manually go in and tell someone that so-and-so's coming on board on X date. It also emails out like login details and instructional manuals on how to use our portal. We reduced manual reporting a lot, so we linked up Power BI with our portal, so all our monthly reporting for customers where we're reporting on incidents raised, our service delivery management, our SLAs are all, I guess that's all been built in Power BI now. So that essentially used to be almost one person's full-time job to do that each month. So we've now got that person working on other stuff that sort of improves the way we work with our customers. And we went live in April 2020. So yeah, it's actually been 3 years now already. So the key, I guess the focus for us, so the three main uses for our portal are, I guess, primarily incident and case management. So it's a first port of call for any of our customers that have software issues or managed services issues or anything. If for any reason they want to get in touch with us, they can log an incident with us. We've got a whole customer success team that picks those up immediately and gets them off to the right person. So yeah, since that 2020 date, when I took these numbers, we'd had 99,000 incidents raised. That's going to be well over that by now. Yeah, it does all our service delivery managers. It's their main tool, and we put all our SLAs in there. So we've got over 1,000 customers. Each of those customers has multiple products, and each of those products has multiple SLAs for different priorities. So we've built that all into our service portal. We recently went live with our service catalog. So it's essentially over 150 offerings from across Fusion 5 for all areas of the business. Yeah, so we've just gone live with that. Prior to that, we had some basic service offerings in there, but yeah, we're really proud of what we've just recently built. And since go live, we've had over 10,000 service requests come through the system. And we also have a knowledge base. So that's a prime use for that for us is we put customer announcements in, as you know, specifically tailored to that customer's software products. So they can log in. There's a banner up the top that says, hey, there's an outage coming up on this date, or hey, there's been a new software release. Here's the key details of the software release, and it's all relevant and tailored to that customer's product. So this is just a screenshot of our splash page. So here you can see in the middle we've got our service catalog, login iHelp, which is our name for our incident and request management tool. We've got self-reporting, so you can go down to the bottom and go to your items. You can request your own reports. You don't need to, I guess, interact with someone else. You can do all this yourself within our portal. We have our knowledge section, which is again where I'm saying, so up the top we've got an example of an announcement, so final release notes for this release. That customer can go in there and click on that, find out all their release details, and we keep that up to date and relevant, and we also keep everything in a backlog. So you know, further down the track, if you need to know what was in a particular release, you don't need to trawl through emails back X amount of years. You can go and filter it by product, and that'll give you everything you need to know. That's the brief overview of the tool. I'll just have a quick chat around some challenges that we had when we were doing our internal project. So the tool that we use is primarily designed as, I guess, an internal help desk tool. So it's the way that we use it is slightly different than the way that it was designed. So we've always had some challenges around that. Just the fact that we're dealing with thousands of customers from 1,000 different companies and a lot of different products. So yeah, also multiple business units with different requirements. So when we did the implementation, we're going out to our business and saying, hey, how do you want this to work, or how do you want this to work? And as I'm sure many of you know, it's often very disparate needs and requirements. So it was kind of the struggle around trying to figure out something that works for everyone while not putting too many people out. And internal resourcing. So obviously we work with a lot of customers. So the focus for the business is to make sure that we're providing the service for our customers. So when we do a project, we're taking resources away from those teams in order to do something internally. So there's always a bit of a struggle to try and get people on board with that. Cool. Yeah. So just a few of the outcomes. So yeah, obviously we've focused on a nice customer user interface and I guess ease of use of the tool, and the fact that this is a single place that all of our customers can come in, find what they need, hopefully very quickly, and that it's all sort of laid out logically, and the groupings are nice and we're very responsive. And it was also cool, just I guess, to work with the different areas of the business. So this project for us involves marketing, it involves all of the different pillars, all the different areas of the business. And it was just really great working with a whole bunch of different people that maybe you don't normally work with. Yeah, so yeah, that was really good for us. And yeah, hoping to do something again very soon. Cool, thanks. That's me. And I'll pass you over to Adam.
Thanks, Jay. Adam is our Fusion 5 CISO, and he's here to share a bit about our InfoSec optimization project. Over to you, Adam.
Thank you, Carmen. I've been with Fusion 5 for the last 2 years and served as the Chief Information Security Officer. During this time, my biggest focus and the areas that I've been maturing the most have been in Fusion 5's cybersecurity program, as well as establishing a cybersecurity security operations center. Interestingly, and probably not as a shock to those others on the presentation, when reflecting on these areas, I realized that their success was rooted in a smart service management strategy. So the driving force behind this improvement was the need to streamline our ISO 27001 certification process and to enable personnel to concentrate on enhancing information security posture. To achieve this, the Office of the CISO and staff involved in insurance activities were involved as the primary stakeholders. Before implementing this change, InfoSec officers spent about a quarter of their time reviewing and re-reviewing registers, tracking the status of events and assigned tasks, and meeting with other staff to capture evidence needed for the security program. The new approach has significantly alleviated this burden, and we no longer rely on our memory to keep track of deadlines. And we're able to eliminate pretty much entirely the countless calendar items dedicated to all these recurring tasks. Additionally, we've now able to do out-of-the-box reporting as well, and can ensure that service level agreements are consistently met, a feat that we could only dream of when using spreadsheets. Additionally, our staff can now easily report security concerns, knowing that they'll be promptly addressed, and instead of what happened more than I'd like to admit, where they'd get lost as well in a sea of emails and chat messages. So the business is now confident that privacy requests are also handled within the required timeframes. So if you still find yourself grappling with the laborious and manual processes of managing your InfoSec program like we were, I urge you to review your service management strategy and document the processes and security or privacy requests that are accessible to your organization. It might be closer than you think. So over to the Security Operations Center initiative. So the primary stakeholders for this one were the members of Fusion 5 Security Center, which is part of the Enterprise Cloud and Security horizontal that Carmen spoke about. So the SOC provides services both internally to Fusion 5 to keep Fusion 5 secure, and externally to our customers. So we recognized that proactive customer service and maintaining a strong focus on our core mission were crucial to our success. In the realm of software as a service, relying solely on extensive implementation projects is no longer sufficient when customers expect seamless adoption that is effortless as flipping a switch. So before the change, stakeholders had to rely on email alerts and log on to multiple portals with various logons. I'd estimate that the time wasted was probably, with all this double handling and context switching, was probably about 15%. So we developed a fully integrated SOC that leverages integration platform as a broker between the security information and event management, so SIEM platform, the service management platform, and other systems such as our alerting platform. This integration allows our analysts to use the service management platform as a unified interface, facilitating collaboration with their peers and seamless escalation with our customers, all within the same platform and ticketing system without compromising security or creating a backdoor. When dealing with the time-sensitive issues, such as hacker infiltration of our systems, it's essential for the security analyst to focus on the task at hand, rather than navigating manual processes. And with a statistic showing 100% of requests meeting our SLA, this is further evidence of our ability to now stay on task. We can also deploy this integrated SOC for a customer in a matter of hours, rather than weeks or months that these projects typically take. So our ability to get started mitigating risk for our customers has been supercharged. So if you already have a SIEM and want to experience the benefit of a fully integrated SOC, I encourage you to review your service management strategy and integration strategies. It's crucial to recognize that security should not be treated as a silo. Instead, it thrives when included in a comprehensive service management strategy. Back to you, Carmen.
Beg your pardon, I was on mute. Thanks, Adam. I'd now like to hand over to Hayden to talk about the software spend optimization. Go ahead, Hayden.
Awesome, thanks, Carmen. Good afternoon and good morning, depending where you are, I guess, in Australia, New Zealand, everybody. And I'm the Microsoft licensing and advisory manager. I've been with the company for a few years now. Originally was with our managed services team, which then obviously developed into our enterprise cloud and security team. Took it on this role and now look after a team of licensing experts, which cover kind of our full range of Microsoft products. And just before I jump into all the slides, I'm just going to give you a bit of a background with our relationship with Microsoft, which we've had for a long time now. I think it's probably back into the early 2000s, before cloud even existed. So we've really kind of launched off and, won a number of achievements. It sounds like an absolute flex of thing to say, but I'll cover a couple of the notable ones, and they are very relevant to this slide anyway. But back in 2018, we were actually the global runner-up for the partners across the world, which was a really massive achievement for us. We were New Zealand winners of the Business Applications and Transforming Products in 2022, which was great. And then which was a really massive one for us, which was back in 2021, we became New Zealand's Microsoft Partner of the Year. I think that's a huge feat, because we were a business application company known for Dynamics, and we've just completely expanded our business, and now we're so strong across all the Microsoft pillars and products now. And obviously with getting awards like this, you can't fake it. You can't get awards out of being close with Microsoft and buying them drinks at the pub or anything like that. We've had to achieve a number of accreditations, and excuse me, one that's really worth mentioning is that last year we were the first Microsoft APAC partner to achieve the Cloud Solutions Partner designation. And if you don't know what that is it's changed. It's moved on from gold and silver competencies to that. But what it means is that we are just completely skilled and completely equipped to cover all Microsoft Cloud areas and support and delivery in there. Anyway, I digress. We'll jump into it. So at Fusion 5, we deal with a number of vendors, but Microsoft being a really, really huge key partner to us. And when you bring on partners like this to Fusion 5, there's a number of huge complexities, heaps of plenty of considerations when it comes to licensing procurement. So that's what I'm going to focus on within this area. And internally, we underwent a service delivery project where we had to define a workflow so we could bring in the best optimization for spend, as well as modernization for our customers' licensing. So it's a super challenge there, and we learned a lot. And probably really kind of the key things that we got of that in terms of challenges was, like I said, the vendor complexity around portals. So we had to look at things like product use rights, prerequisites, requirements. We had to establish, they all had to be completely established, which then we had to again figure out how they worked within the process. That was a really kind of time-consuming process. And then on top of that, we had a number of internal stakeholders as well as external stakeholders during these licensing procurement steps and where they actually fit. So they were massive challenges for us, which took time, but we definitely got there as well. There's a big, I think when we did roll this out, what we're still working on it is the considerations when you're looking at a service management portal or management portal for your own business. But I guess for us, like, I'm not going to read through every single one of these, but some of the really big ones and the notable ones were really kind of, where did the licensing team fit within that workflow? Like I said, there was complexities, so we had to chop and change throughout that process. We had to look at things such as agreements. When do they need to be drawn up throughout the process? And then things what Adam just talked about as well. So where do we hand over to ECS for security considerations? And look at things that Adam's just covered in his own slides as well. Vendor management, that was a really, really big consideration. We had to think about how do we change and adopt our own service management portal workflow in terms of how Microsoft had new latest releases or new information. So we had to stay up to date for that as well. Probably some of the tips. It's not all doom and gloom. It's it's really working for us now, and it's really amazing. Most of the tips that I would probably pass on to whoever's on this call is to really kind of consider all the features within the tools of your vendor, and then build off that. Don't start off with a workflow or how you preconceived idea, because it's going to change. So make sure you understand that first, and then move forward. Cool. So this slide here, really, I want to give you some really kind of tips and plans that you can take advantage of to save money when you're looking at deploying your service management system within the cloud. And this is obviously more specific towards Azure. But the first one here is really kind of our Azure hybrid benefits. Make sure you can see that. I had to make sure you hadn't seen that. But just so you don't get lost, of trying to keep this really extremely high level. So bear with me if some of the words don't make sense, but I'm trying to keep it high level for you. But so Azure hybrid benefits really is for if you have on-premise licensing for your Windows or SQL servers, as well as you've got software assurance with that, you're able to spin up Azure virtual machines in the cloud at no additional cost. So really kind of the main benefits of that, again, is what I've already mentioned, is the spend. You don't have to buy new licenses within the cloud. You can just spin them up without having to purchase them, which is great. You get license mobility, so you get the ability to move the virtual machines freely between your on-premise as well as your Azure environment. So if you do have a hybrid environment, that's perfect for that. And then you also get to take advantage of Azure's cloud scalability. So if you're looking to scale up and down depending on your workloads throughout the year, this is a really, really beneficial thing, especially with this type of, I guess, licensing benefit. The other one is our Azure reserved instances. So what this is actually just a plan that you pay for upfront, and this reserves a specific rate on your monthly Azure virtual machine compute costs. So hopefully that does make sense. But what it does, the build of your virtual machine, whatever runs it, you can lock in a rate for that, not the consumption of it, while it runs every single month. You don't have to pay for the pay-as-you-go rates, which would be more expensive. And really, like the main benefits here is this is actually the largest discounted plan. So for customers, if you do have a large virtual environment, you're looking at spinning up more virtual machines for your service delivery management system. This probably makes complete sense for you in this case. Again, you don't have to. You get the fixed pricing. So this plan here, you pay for your upfront compute costs and rates for a year or up to 3 years. And we know at the moment the economy is not super great. We've got Microsoft potentially increasing pricing all over the place. So if you can lock it in now, that's going to be a huge saving. You don't have to worry about fluctuating costs moving forward as well. And finally, actually, which is kind of more recently been released, is our Azure Savings Plan. This is very similar. So think exactly the same as Azure Reservation or Reserved Instances. But really kind of the main difference is the Reserved Instances was about locking in a rate for all your consumption for your compute costs of your virtual machine, whereas the Savings Plan, you can actually break that down to an hourly rate per virtual machine. And it doesn't matter what size of virtual machine, and it doesn't matter what region. So my understanding of how I would like to think about this one is if you have workloads that fluctuate a lot, and so you're super busy in summer and it drops in winter, this is definitely the one that you should be looking at as well. Again, huge cost savings under this plan, obviously, because you get to lock in these rates. The benefit of this other plan, actually here, the savings plan, is that it's not locked into purely virtual machines. You get access to other Azure services and to reduce those costs. So if you've got more workloads around SQL databases, you can also lock in rates on that and save costs there as well. And really probably the main kind of thing to conclude everything is that you can actually combine the savings plan with an Azure Reserved instance. So if you have an opportunity to do that, you've got the money to be able to pay for things up front to lock in those rates. That's the complete ultimate in terms of setting up your environment. That's where you're going to save heaps of money. Awesome. Well, that's it from me. I appreciate the time. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Hayden. And now we have a final speaker for today, Edward Zarzor. Ed is here to talk about our service catalogue, which we call My F5. Over to you, Ed.
Oh, thank you, and thanks to all the previous speakers. Can you hear me all right, Carmen?
Yep, all good.
Beautiful. Excellent. Well, yeah, thanks for joining us today. And I actually want to do things the other way around. I'm actually begin with the end in mind sort of guy. So I'm going to give you the outcomes, but just a little bit about My F5. So My F5 is actually the name of our intranet portal, which is a SharePoint portal. Great resource that we have for handled and maintained by our people and culture team, and this was just the next evolution, so My F5 is great for the news, for the culture, for a good starting point. But what we then decided as an organization is, okay, when we actually need something, how do we integrate that into it? And that's where the service catalog idea came from. And I'm sure a lot of the listeners know exactly what a service catalog is. And the screenshot you see on your on the screen there is actually the mobile view. So what's been amazing is having a single portal for our workforce, right? To be able to get the help and track progress. And if you're a manager and you scroll a little bit further down, there's some green buttons for my approvals on the go, things that need my attention, all that sort of stuff. It really cuts down the triaging time from an employee perspective, trying to waste time figuring out where to go. Now, the first 3 points there I wanted to share with you, we actually did things quite different, and I wanted to, we wanted to really pack maximum value into today's online event. Now, for us as an organization, we actually did things a little bit differently. We started in HR because just given the nature of what Fusion 5 and the growth we're going through, we looked at which processes are more mission critical than others, right? Or are providing some sort of bottleneck. And HR recruitment processes were heavy duty, is all I'm going to say. So that's where we started. We thought, let's tackle the hardest business problem that we have. And traditionally, if you've been in this space for a while, you know that 90% of these types of projects start in ICT. So we had enough knowledge and experience in our team, in our pillar, the center of excellence, to say, you know what, let's tackle the toughest one you got. And it was actually quite good, and it was done in 6 weeks. And since then, we're talking about August, September last year, just the rate of onboarding additional or the next business process and the next business problem and so on. As you can see, business services was next, and this is in the order of what we did things. Then Adam's team from a SOC and InfoSec perspective. Then we did ICT, then finance came on board. And we're actually working on project operations, or the PMO, and legal, which is in progress. So this is why I wanted to start with the outcomes, because this is the nirvana. And if you're passionate about, service management or enterprise service management or digital employee experience, this is what everyone wants, and it's great that we're well on our way. Now, one of the most important things, and we all know this, is user adoption, right, and usability. So it was a no-brainer to make sure that if we're going to do this, it's got to be easy, it's got to be accessible, and hence, the heavy emphasis on the links to SharePoint. As a Microsoft partner, you heard from Hayden, we've got a lot of deep roots in Microsoft, and everybody's got SharePoint. A lot of organizations and our customers use SharePoint as a content management system. So this was just about acknowledging what's there and actually taking it to the next level, or complementing it, which we do a lot of. Now, if you ask everybody at Fusion 5, 700 plus employees, the number one thing they say that it's impacted their lives is reduction in email. And depending on who you talk to, I've heard things like 95%, I've heard things by 50%, so that's just an average. But imagine that, 65% reduction in email traffic, just wasted time, wasted productivity. And as Carmen shared with you guys, we are a matrix organization. So as you can imagine, there's some really complex approvals. So pro tip there is definitely have a look at delegation of authority and things like that, because once you nail it, it is literally, 90% of the time copy and paste. So once you get the right approvals for your key mission critical processes, you'll find the deviations are actually very, very minute. And this was a huge win for our organization. We wanted to share with you is we come across a lot of customers of ours, and Fusion 5, 2 years ago was in the same boat, which is, you put in the business application, and then there is no continuous improvement around it. Or as Jay pointed out, one of the key challenges in any organization is how do you balance your billable work or customer facing work with your own internal projects? It's a constant battle, right? For resources, that is. So really, we've adopted an agile sort of approach where we've got backlogs and sprints. Any employee in the company, there's a suggestion box on the portal. If they don't like a workflow, or they have from an ideation or demand management perspective, they can submit their idea for a new workflow, a new form. It hits a backlog, and then the team, ESM Center of Excellence, we go through it and we put things into sprints. So that's very important, especially with service management, because it's not a put it in and forget about it. At a strategic level, you really need to plant that seed across your entire organization that this is one of those business applications that is going to evolve with you. As an organization, you are going to evolve, whether mergers, acquisitions, whatever. It's going to change. So your service management platform needs to take you there to make sure your people and workforce are there. One of our requirements, and this comes to governance and security as well, it was a mandate that each business unit that I shared has their own tenant. And that's just a fact. So we were able to achieve that because we didn't want to be the bottleneck at ESM Center of Excellence. So to some extent, they have control of their own tenants because they all have different case management workflows. And by the way, again, we love doing things very differently, and this is probably anti-OCM, but we were confident enough that when we rolled this out, we didn't really need to run extensive end user training. And that's just because of the type of organization we are. We're a business solutions company, so a lot of us sort of know this space, and it was almost like a tester, a litmus test. We just made a public announcement. It appeared on SharePoint, and yeah, the feedback has been amazing. So now let's talk about the problems we solved. And as Carmen mentioned in her opening, setting the scene, service management solves two very different problems. One at an organizational level and one at a people level. And what you see there is really the snapshot of us and many organizations before embarking on a high-vis service management journey, which is you've got employees, you've got contractors, They all have different roles to play. They're on different projects. They need help to do their jobs, right? And they will get at an organizational level. I'll talk about the people, individuals in a second, but at an organizational level, the longer things take, deadlines get missed. It's revenue leakage. People might get frustrated and leave. There's definitely productivity loss, and poor visibility. How do you have a single sort of framework from a compliance perspective to make sure that people approve the right things and you have accountability? Big problem. I'm sure you can relate to it. And of course, the big problem is each business application, each support domain have their core applications, and they all have self-service portal, they all have AI, they all have search, they all have very specific tool sets within the applications to do what they need to do. And some of our customers have 100+ business applications in their portfolio. We're no different. We have, as you saw in our matrix structure, we had that problem. But then there's also a Trojan horse that we help our customers overcome. We had to deal with this ourselves. A lot of the SaaS solutions are provided by the vendors. They all have their own ticketing system. So when we embarked on the service management journey, we really had to think ahead. And pro tip here, 4-letter acronym SIAM model. That's just going to become more and more important as companies start, transitioning in and out their vendors at will. And if your applications or your request management capabilities don't cater for that, then that's a really big problem to have at an organizational level. And then, of course, the people. We can all relate to this digital employee experience. You're having many places to go to. Frustration. Not knowing who to contact is a big one. Those walk-ins and emails and Teams messages are just out of nowhere. Real problem is, the bigger you are as an organization, the bigger this problem is. It has a compounding effect. And of course, not knowing where something is. Oh yeah, I approved that 2 days ago. Oh, that's great. I didn't know. Just simple use cases like that have a compounding effect. And that's our story for, we're very proud of all the projects, but just to quickly recap, the right service management strategy, you heard from Jay, can really level up your customer experience. We heard from Adam, a right service management platform can help you transform your InfoSec and security operations. Hayden just touched the tip of the iceberg. If you saw that list of considerations, ITAM projects are not easy. SAM and HAM and all the lovely acronyms, there's a lot involved. But again, the right service management platform is either going to help you move forward quicker, or it's going to hold you back, because at the end of the day, it's going to have to come back to request management and enterprise workflows and continuous discovery and security. It touches everything. All roads lead to ITAM. Of course, I just gave you a quick high level of our new service catalog. Just the feedback's been phenomenal, and it's really come to light. It's okay to have multiple enterprise workflow solutions. You might have one for your front office operations. You can have one for your back office operations. They can talk to each other, but service management does have an advantage, and I'll talk about that in a second. And of course, all of the above, all our 4 projects benefited from this underlying capability to actually know when you need to run an audit, you don't need to log on to 12 different systems to see who approved what, who took what action, who's accountable for what. It's all within one place, and you've got real-time dashboards there. Or if you don't, you just plug in Power BI as the team mentioned. But the real key takeaway, and the reason we were excited about today's online event, is that's a lot of business outcomes there. And traditionally, you would think that you need different software applications to fix these things, right? But the real message we want to leave you with is, have a serious think about elevating the profile of service management in your organization, because it could be done on one platform, if done correctly. And of course, the old age, water cooler conversation, well, why don't we just build it? And our advice, if you talk to anybody in our team, why build it if there's, you know, tools out there that have 80% of this stuff, you know, out of the box, ready to handle what you're trying to do, and that 20% is you know, to add your secret sauce. So I hope that you found today beneficial. At the end of the day, we're here to help. We've been doing this for 20 years. We have very flexible methodologies. We do provide an unbiased approach. We have amazing partners we work with, and we'll help you pick the right one for you. Our people, we have some of the most amazing tenures in this organization around this space. You met, you know, 5 people today, you know, so we're always here to help. And of course, one key takeaway is, you know, our whole of business approach. So we're not really blinkers on when it comes to service management. If you can think of a use case, we've done it. And of course, our Microsoft experience. 99% of companies have Microsoft. So the question is, how can you unlock maximum value from your service management journey and your Microsoft investment at the same time? And who better to talk to than a partner that's you know, has deep roots in both. And of course, the world we live in, you know, cloud first, security first. Our CISO and his entire team's here to also help you uncover, improve, and just level up in that space. So we're here to help. Back to you, Carmen, if we have any questions, but thank you all for attending today.
Many thanks, Ed. Okay, we hope that you enjoyed the content shared today. If you do have any questions about today, don't hesitate to contact me. My email's there for you, and we will share out the recording. So again, thank you all for your time. Have a great day.